Welcome, Life in the Fast Lane, WagerTalk TV, week 3 of the NASCAR Cup season, and we have moved out of Daytona, down the road, down I-95 to Miami Homestead, and the first mile-and-a-half oval intermediate track, which makes up the majority of the NASCAR season and is also, in my opinion, the best and most handicappable race that we've had so far this year. And we're going to dig into it here on WagerTalk TV on Life in the Fast Lane. We're going to give you our best bets for this NASCAR race on Sunday afternoon. 3 head-to-head matchups as well, and some other tidbits. And we're also going to recap the Daytona road course that just happened last week. Just a reminder, though, if you like this show, if you want more content, if you want more NASCAR content throughout the season, be sure to like this video. Be sure to subscribe to WagerTalk TV. We are inching closer to 70,000 subscribers. Help us get there. And leave a comment below in the YouTube comment section here. Hey, I'm going to reply. Andy and Rocky might jump in as well. And once again, if you want more free content like we provide on a daily basis here on WagerTalk TV, become interactive, subscribe, like, and comment below. We really appreciate it. Hey, with no further ado, let me bring in my co-hosts, my 2 other NASCAR experts here on WagerTalk TV. Of course, I've got Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com, Rodkey Atkinson from SportsMemo.com, and I'm, of course, Steve Merril, also on WagerTalk.com. Andy, I'll start with you. Recap Daytona real quick. You know, they were at the restrictor plate track. They stayed right there, and they did the road course, the Roval, which is half restrictor plate. Well, not restrictor plate, half oval, half road course. But, you know, normally we wouldn't waste a lot of time recapping a road course because they only race twice a year. But this is one of 7 road events that they're going to have. There'll be another Roval event, of course, at Charlotte later this year. So, you know, Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com, what were some of your takeaways? Chase Elliott was dominant once again, as he's always been. But a late caution kind of threw things out of the works. And we got another long shot. By the way, Christopher Bell as high as 66-1, exactly what McDowell was the week before. And he closed 50-1 almost every books or higher. So back-to-back weeks, we've had 2 long shots of 50-1 or higher, Andy, win the first 2 races at Daytona.
I thought it was a race of mistakes. I thought mistakes were you can see it happening early in the season. It's a weird course. Teams aren't ready for it. And you saw spins, you saw guys with pit stop penalties, guys with winning cars making mistakes, our defending champion making mistakes. So, hey, kudos to Christopher Bell. He ran a great race. And sometimes avoiding mistakes is how you win a race. And I'm not going to handicap the other road courses based on a lot of the mistakes that I saw. I'm going to look at some of the guys that ran well. Kurt Busch ran really well. And to me, the biggest surprise was A.J. Allmendinger. I thought he was the best car, the best driver combination all day. Horrible pit stop things. And he still raced to the front. He shocked me. I bet against him, and he made me eat my words. He looked great, and he was not in a great car, but it's amazing how good he is on those road courses. I will not doubt him anymore. Congratulations to Christopher Bell. That is a huge win early in the season. And maybe we got to look at him as a road course guy, not to be messed with, because even though he was a long shot, that was not a fluke win. That was a legit. He ran up front, got to the front, and then held on to the lead. So great job by Christopher Bell. Would have been interesting if a lot of those other guys didn't make as many mistakes as they did.
Yeah, Rocky, when the season began, you know, I was looking at all the road courses. We have 7 of them, either road or Rovals, but we also have a dirt race in about a month at Bristol. The first of one of the 2 dirt tracks at Bristol. The night race in August will be regular, but they're going to have dirt on the track here in a month. And the 2 guys I circled in my preseason handicapping were Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, which are just experts on the dirt. So not a huge surprise that Bell was able to run well on a road course. Keep in mind, everybody, he's in the 20 car now. He is part of Gibbs Racing with Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. So he has the equipment now to win. And as Andy said, you know, we talked on the show last week about A.J. Allmendinger maybe not having the equipment but having the talent. You can make an argument that the lack of a team there did cost him the win, though, because like you said, he had a pit mistake late. So it is some stuff to take away from. Allmendinger was strong. Chase Elliott was strong again, probably the car to beat for the most part. Rocky, I believe you had an underdog winner. I know you passed at Daytona on the restrictor plate. You went 7 for 3 free. 7 for 3 free. Try to say that 10 times on Twitter in that first week. But then you had a paid best bet for your clients last week. Tell us a little bit about that and your thoughts on the Daytona road course.
Well, we did open up the year with with a winner on Kevin Harvick, plus 140 over Kyle Busch. It definitely wasn't an easy one. I thought it was going to be after Kyle Busch got damage to his car on lap 1. So I thought we was going to have an easy winner, but that wasn't the case. Kyle's crew got his car fixed, got him back out there, and he came back through the field, was competitive all day. The car could have won the race. But we did cash nice underdog winner there for us to start the year off. I'm usually not a big fan of road courses. They're usually, in my humble opinion, the most boring races to watch. However, this race was very exciting the entire time. I was pleased with all the action going on the track. It was just crazy. Congratulations to another first-time winner. 2 first-time winners in the first 2 races. Christopher Bell, congratulations to him and his team. Don't forget, I did give out Joey Logano on the show last week. My long shot. He almost won it, finished second. Just didn't have the car at the end there to hold off Christopher Bell.
Yeah, it's funny, Rocky. I was ready to go. I'd already typed up the tweet to say 2 weeks in a row we've called the long shot, because I remembered you saying Logano at 22-1, and we said, how often are you going to see Joey Logano, a Cup champ, a guy that's always a perennial top 5, top 10 driver at that price range? And it was basically his race to lose until Bell passed him late in that race. So, yeah, Logano's another guy that looked very good, as you predicted, on the Roval. And once again, we got 6 more road courses, viewers, including a Roval at Charlotte. I think these Rovals, by the way, are better than the road courses. That's one of the reasons that was an exciting race. You don't get the boredom of just going around in circles, but you don't get, you get a little bit more open racing too when they get on that half banking there. Speaking of Kyle Busch, I want to touch him in a few minutes when we get to the Miami race, because he's a guy last year that was very tricky for us here on the show. We kept talking about him being one of the top 2 or 3 drivers in the odds every week, yet never getting it done. He was fortunate to win the Daytona Clash a couple of weeks ago when Elliott and Blaney wrecked each other. He came from 3rd and got the win. As you said, this past week, he was in the running and kind of faltered there. We'll see what happens. We still have no practice sessions for the next couple months, at least from what I've seen on the advanced schedule. And Kyle Busch said he really missed the practice sessions. But, of course, before we get to Miami Homestead, I got to throw it back to Andy Lang, because we do once again have the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Award for race number 2. I like to call it AKA the Derek Cope Award. I'm trying to get it named over to that, the 62-year-old driving 3 laps and wrecking, cutting a tire, but I don't think that's going to happen. But last week, meteorologist weather won. I guess if we had to give it to a driver, it was probably going to be Derek Cope. So we'll say Cope was a close second-place winner. Andy, give us the nominees this week. And once again, you can vote for this. We got polls going each and every week. We want you all to be interactive. Andy, who are the top 3 or 4 this week?
Well, congratulations to the winner. It is going to be Kurt Busch for taking himself out of the race when he was easily in the lead by a few car lengths. He got over the curb, sent himself flying through the field, kicked up a bunch of dirt and grass, and eliminated. He went from 1st to 25th, eliminating any chance to win. He was not racing anybody. He was around nobody. Classic dummy move. So this was an easy winner. We had AJ Allmendinger screwing up 2 pit stops when he had the best car. I know somebody mentioned Kyle Larson messing up, but the winner, a runaway with the votes, by the way, is Kurt Busch.
Yeah, and I was going to say a couple other memorable moments for me was in lap 1, Michael McDowell, the Daytona 500 winner, who's starting second, basically misses the turn on like the very first turn of the race. So I feel like he couldn't have started any worse there. And then Kyle Busch, Kurt's brother, who Rocky mentioned had a strong car but found ways to mess up. Keep in mind, he screwed up on lap 1, maybe lap 1.5 or 2 there, and put himself in the back for a while. So there were some mistakes early. And even Chase Elliott there late in the race really found a way not to win as well when he was the dominant car. But, yeah, Kurt Busch was leading the race. I mean, both Busch brothers had strong cars. Logano was strong. Definitely some names to take away from that road course for the other 6 that are still remaining. And Kurt Busch will be our Week 2 winner for the Unforced Error, the Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a.k.a. Derek Cope Award for Week 2. Meteorologist won Week 1 with Derek Cope a close second if you're actually looking for drivers. Guys, before we get to Miami Homestead, I want to remind the viewers and the listeners that, hey, look, this is the kind of track you make money on. It's a 1.5 mile over. It's about half of the tracks this season. We call these cookie-cutter tracks for a reason because, unfortunately, they're a little boring, but they're also very predictable from a handicapping perspective. We all stayed away from the restrictor plates in Week 1, no best bets. As Rocky said, he doesn't enjoy road courses, but he enjoyed cashing that nice outright underdog in Week 2. Week 3, though, this is big. These guys are going to shine, and you want to get their head-to-head matchups right now at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Andy Lang right now, WagerTalk.com, Rocky Atkinson, SportsMemo.com for NASCAR head-to-head best bets. This goes Sunday afternoon after 3 Eastern, so you have plenty of time to lock in, shop around, and get the best number on what I think is one of the most handicappable tracks on the circuit. With that said, let me throw it to you first, Rocky. Who are some drivers you're looking at this week? Miami Homestead, it's a 1 mile, used to be the championship race. They moved it to the March schedule last year. This was before the shutdown, so we did have a practice session last year when these guys ran here, which we won't have this year, Rocky.
Yeah, looking at 3 drivers here for the top 3. The guy I think is going to win the race is Hamlin. Hamlin has 3 wins, 5 top 5 finishes, 11 top 10 finishes, 16 races here at Homestead. Average finish of 9.9 at this track. Hamlin's the hottest driver over the past 3 races, an average finish of 4th. On this track type since 2018, Hamlin has 5 wins, 13 top 5 finishes, and top 10s in 38 races with an average finish of 12.5. Another guy I'm looking at is Kevin Harvick. Those of you tuned in last year, I was on Hamlin and Harvick a lot. Looking at them again here. So I'm looking for Harvick second. Harvick has 1 win, 11 top 5s, 17 top 10s in 20 races here at Homestead. Average finish 7.4 at this track, second best among all drivers. That's only behind Tyler Reddick, actually, who had a 4th place finish last year. Harvick is the second hottest driver the past 3 races, an average finish of 5.7. On this track type, since 2018, Harvick has 8 wins, 24 top finishes, 30 top 10s in 38 races, a solid average finish of 7.9, which is best among all drivers. Another guy I'm looking at in third here is Joey Logano. We were on him at the long shot last week. Logano's on a solid team. He has 1 win, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and 12 races here in Miami. His average finish is 13.9 at this track. Logano is the 3rd hottest driver the past 3 races. He also has an average finish of 0.7. He's the hottest driver over the past 10 races as he has 1 win, 6 top 10 finishes, an average finish of 8.4. On this track type since 2018, Logano wins, 14 top 5 finishes, 26 top 10 finishes, 38 races. That's good enough for an average finish of 9.4. So those are my top 3 drivers for Homestead this weekend.
Yeah, and just a reminder, Rocky did not have any best bets in week 1 officially. He put them out on Twitter for free, 7-3, Rocket Man Sports on Twitter. He cashed an underdog, a straight-up underdog winner last week with his first best bet. We still have 34 races to go, so it's not like you've missed the boat, folks, if you haven't jumped on yet. His season package, and All Sports Access is the way to go. He does hockey, he does basketball as well. SportsMemo.com. Get Rocky's insight for not only NASCAR, but all sports right now with the direct subscription and save big on a daily basis. SportsMemo.com for Rocky Atkinson. Andy Lang, of course, is at WagerTalk.com along with myself, Steve Merril. And Andy, I want to ask you, Harvick and Hamlin, they basically alternated wins on these 1.5-mile intermediate cookie-cutter tracks last year. We all know that. Is there anything about Miami, Andy, that you think is different than these other 1.5-miles, or do you kind of clump them all together and feel like those are the 2 guys to beat for sure this week?
Well, you can clump them all together. It makes sense. Here's one thing to look at with Homestead. So at the Homestead race last year, only 4 drivers led over 25 laps in that race. So this is the type of track where whoever gets their setup right can absolutely dominate this race unless you get some weird pit strategy or a yellow at the end or something weird like that. But also, if you want to kind of look at it as a little bit of a contrarian, the last 3 cookie cutter tracks of the year, last year, here's your top 5 average finishers: Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Martin Truex, Ryan Blaney, and Matt DiBenedetto. So as the year was wrapping up, we kind of saw a little bit of I don't want to say changing of the guard, but the hot drivers in Harvick and Hamlin kind of fell off a little bit. And there is one guy in particular I might be looking at this week. So in 2017, 2018, and 2019, the driver with the most average lead laps at this track was Martin Truex. Second was Kyle Larson. He likes getting out and leading at this track. And one thing we have to remember when we're looking at course history, this track was the end of the year. And a lot of times you would see a lot of the drivers kind of pull over and let the top 4 guys race it out. So I think you have to be a little bit careful when you're looking at track history, especially in those earlier years when this was the final race of the year. So I have these memories of Kyle Larson leading a bunch of laps in the beginning, and then, all of a sudden he's back in 6th place as the top 4 guys racing for the championship move forward. Not the case this year. So Martin Truex comes up on my radar, and so does Kyle Larson as guys to look forward to do really well this week.
Yeah, and keep in mind, first of all, Andy, that is an excellent point, and I'm glad you brought that up about this is no longer the final race of the season. Now, I mentioned that earlier, but I didn't mention why it's such a difference now, and you hit it on the head. I mean, the top 4 guys basically going in every race since we've had this format. First of all, the champion has won the race every single year. They haven't finished second, they've won the race, and basically the other 3 guys have been like second, third, fourth for the most part. So there's no question that those guys have an advantage, and it's very misleading when you're looking at past results. That's why I think it's very important to lump this together with all the mile-and-a-half cookie-cutter intermediate tracks and look at those numbers as a whole. And then, as I mentioned also earlier, we did have practice at race last year, the first time that it was in March. We also had the practice for guys to get 2 or 3 chances to get the setups right. It's something that Kyle Busch said all season long was hurting him when he did not have practice during the summer, and that's why it's hard not to default to Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, who just nailed it week after week without practice sessions on these intermediates. Once again, Andy Lang is at WagerTalk.com. Bump Sports on Twitter. He's a fantastic follow on Twitter, especially for NASCAR information. He also handles MMA. He's a prop expert, NBA props this time of year. I mean, if you're looking to diversify, Andy is your guy because he handles props, MMA, golf, NASCAR. He has all sports access packages right now at WagerTalk.com as well. Rocky, any other long shots you're looking at, and also maybe a head-to-head that you'd like this week as a free play?
Well, I have one long shot to kind of stand out. Kurt Busch. I've seen him at 30-1 at one spot. I've even seen him at 50-1 out there. Kurt Busch had a good run last week. He has 1 win here, 4 top 5, 7 top 10 finishes in 20 races here in Miami. Average finish isn't that great at 18.0. He has 1 here, and he's been running solid, and he's starting in the 5th position here for this race. So you might want to sprinkle a little bit on Kurt Busch as a long shot. As far as head-to-head matchup, I got why Andy likes Kyle Larson. I'm going to go against Kyle Larson here for the head-to-head matchup for the show and take Chase Elliott, -120 over Kyle Larson. Elliott has no wins here, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s in 5 races here at Homestead. Average finish 8 at this track, which is 3rd best among all drivers. Kyle Larson has no wins, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s in 7 races here at Homestead. His average finish is 13th. Chase will be starting in 9th, while Larson's back in 17th. Larson hasn't done bad here, but with him in a new car and Chase being Chase, I'm going to look at Chase to finish ahead of Larson on Sunday.
Yeah, Kyle Larson's a guy that's very interesting. I mentioned I had him circled for that dirt race here in a month, though, and he's a guy I've had circled as a dark horse all season, but I really kind of want to see something from him first, Andy, on these tracks because he is in a new car. He has good numbers on all these past tracks. Last summer, about a few weeks ago, last summer we're doing the show, guy that kept popping up in my past results was always Kyle Larson, and he wasn't active, so we couldn't do anything with it. But he's no longer with Ganassi in the 42 car. He is now in the 5 car, which basically was the 88 car Alex Bowman last year because he moved over to the 48. So this is Hendrick Racing, and we've seen Byron, Bowman, Chase have been very strong on these types of tracks last year. So Larson will be a guy I'll be watching closely, and we'll see what happens there. Kurt Busch, by the way, 7th best average finish on the mile and a halves the last 3 years, and that's 38 races. So he has been stronger than people realize on these tracks. And keep in mind, some of that, though, was, I believe, when he was teammates with Kevin Harvick. And, of course, he had very good equipment there on those teams. Once again, Rocky's at sportsmemo.com, and Rocketman Sports on Twitter. He gives out free NASCAR picks on Twitter, and he has best bets available at sportsmemo.com. Andy Lang and myself, Steve Merril, we're at WagerTalk.com. We both have all access best bet packages for all sports. And, Andy, give us something else you're looking at for this race and maybe a head-to-head matchup as well.
I like fading rookies. I like fading guys that move up from the Xfinity series. I think it's a tough jump to make. And we see it, kind of year after year. And I chuckled when I saw this matchup. I like Cole Custer over Chase Briscoe. Cole Custer was Rookie of the Year last year, and when he started, he struggled. He did not have a top 10 finish at a big track until the 16th race of the season, and you saw him slowly get better and better and better. He won a race, and I think we're going to see the same from Chase Briscoe. We saw him struggle last week. At one point, the hood of his car was folded up over his windshield, and so I'm going to keep fading Chase Briscoe. I cashed a ticket fading him. And I just think that when you jump up from the Xfinity Series, you're used to running out front, you're used to being in the top three, and now all of a sudden you're trying to race against Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. You're different. Your team is different. It's a much different animal. And Custer has a year under his belt. And I think Briscoe's going to have a lot of talent and he's going to have a lot of success. But right out of the gate, I want to jump all over fading Chase Briscoe, the rookie, until he shows that he feels comfortable in the NASCAR series. So I'll take Cole Custer in his second year, Rookie of the Year, over Chase Briscoe, who's cutting his teeth in the NASCAR series.
And Briscoe, once again, is in the 14 car. He took over for Clint Boyer, who is now in the booth this year. So he is with that Stewart-Haas Racing, which once again is Kevin Harvick's team. And as we mentioned, was strong at times with that team as well. But there's something about experience, and it's at a different level. These guys have said that time and time again when they get to the Cup level. And I don't think the other drivers cut them much slack either, if you've noticed. So that's something else to keep in mind. You know, Cole Custer made me think about the weather, because I believe the race he won last year, it was either a fuel caution weather type thing, you know, where he got up to the lead there. It looks clear, by the way, Sunday, 84 degrees, 16% chance rain in Homestead, Florida. So we should get no shenanigans here. We should have a clean race, which makes the usual suspects, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, the favorites for good reason. Hey, if you want the best bets from these guys, and I don't know why you wouldn't, Andy Lang barely missed 70% all season in NASCAR last year. Rocky has been a long-term winner in NASCAR. He's up over 20-some units in head-to-head matchups last couple of seasons. He went 7-3 on Twitter for free in week one. You saw what he could do, and then he hit an outright underdog matchup last week in week two. Hey, guess what? There's still 34 weeks remaining in the NASCAR season to get Rocky's best bets at sportsmemo.com and Andy Lang's best bets at WagerTalk.com. Hey, I'm Steve Merril, also at WagerTalk.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L. Andy Lang on Twitter at Bump Sports, and Rocky Atkinson on Twitter at Rocketman Sports. And hey, look, we'll be back next Friday night, 6:30 Eastern, right here on WagerTalk TV.
Whoa. Steve, I got to cut you. Steve, we have to spend a couple minutes and make fun of Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer. Can we please go over
I'll let Rocky set that up, because that was his recommendation.
Rocky, go ahead.
Yeah, there was trying to steal the Days of Thunder. I kind of zoned out, so I didn't actually see all of it. So I'll let Rocky fill us in.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a very weird situation, it seemed like to me. They were trying to do a remake of the Days of Thunder theme. It was just something they did in the pre-show, and and they carried it over into the booth, and I mean, it was just weird. I don't know. It wasn't good to me. I don't know. What do you think?
It was awful. Just saying, it was awful. It made no sense. It was terrible. They don't know how to act. It was bad. And I do have to – Clint Boyer's probably going to be good, but right now he is a terrible commentator. He's using sentence fragments. He's just stopping in the middle of his thought. He'll start one thought and then go off to another. He doesn't know how to react when a graphic comes up. Whenever they go to a reporter, he's lost. Jeff Gordon keeps trying to set him up, and then he just falls apart. And then I would also like to add the plexiglass between the three guys. The plexiglass comes up to Clint Boyer's neck, okay? So if we're not going to put him up past the head, just take him out of there. The plexiglass makes me laugh every time they cut to it, because it's past Gordon's head, but not past Clint Boyer's neck. It's almost worth watching just to see what a train wreck Gordon and Boyer are right now.
Yeah, I've noticed that from the start. The whole thing is just for show, because they're standing shoulder to shoulder when they're on the track on the pre-race and whatnot. I mean, the only reason they have that plexiglass is to make people think we're being safe. It does absolutely nothing, and I'm glad you pointed that out, because it's just silly. I actually have enjoyed Boyer. I've always liked Boyer. He's always been one of my favorites, and if you're looking for Boyer to get complete sentences in his repertoire, you're going to be waiting a long time, because I don't think that's ever going to happen. And it'll no longer be Clint Boyer. It'll be a bot. It'll be a robot at that point. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's interesting. I didn't see the pre-race thing. I saw them set it up, but I didn't actually see the Days of Thunder because I kind of knew it was not going to be good. And that's what I've heard from numerous people. So that gets the thumbs down award, and it was one of our nominees basically for the Stenhouse Award. Once again, Kurt Busch, the Week 2 unforced error winner, and Week 1 was the weather. Week 3 here, Miami Homestead, the weather looks clear, but be sure to interact with us. Vote in the poll when we put it up after the race next week. More importantly, like this video, subscribe, get us to 70,000 so we can start bringing you more great content here on Wager Talk TV. Please comment below. Hey, leave your top 3. I want to get more people involved. I said I'm going to mention the winner each week, but we need more than just a few of you doing it. I want everyone to put down their top 3 drivers. Hey, look, we're on a 1.5 mile intermediate track this week. This is the week that the handicapping shines, and let's hit those top 3s. Let's see if someone can have a triple play, a 1, 2, 3 trifecta, if you will, right here on Wager Talk TV. Life in the Fast Lane, and we'll be back next Friday night, 6:30 Eastern, here on Wager Talk TV. Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com. Rocky Atkinson, SportsMemo.com. Get their best bets for the NASCAR race this weekend. You can also get my best bets in college hoops and pro basketball at WagerTalk.com. Steve Merril signing off. Best of luck this week. We'll talk to you again soon right here on Wager Talk TV.